as well as the talk show host or podcaster for the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, along with myself and Mr. Steven over here. We do a weekly broadcast called the Business Briefing, which keeps you up to date on what is happening in our community, in our business community, as well as where there's money for you to apply for grants or loans, and as well as bringing those in our community together, those that you may not that you may not meet, or you have seen them in an environment but not actually have opportunity to talk to them. So these are business leaders that are sitting at the table with valuable information for us. So that's kind of what I do. I'm a community advocate, and and in this position today, I am also an accountant and bookkeeper, and that's how I started my business 30 years ago, and it's been trudging along quite well, because no matter what you do, what business you're in, who you work for, accounting and bookkeeping is a part of the foundation and fiber of every business. So without good books, without good records, without tracking your money, and without tracking your expenses, then you're operating your business in the dark. And so when I got into that business 30 years ago, I recognized that, one, when I was working in corporate America, after the recession in the S&L recession, that I needed, if I was going to work for people, which I had slated 15 years of my life after college for corporate America, then it needed to be in a position that I didn't ever lose my job. So and that I would be, if the job was going to go under me and the CEO, the CFO and the COO, we were all walking out together, because I would have actually processed the last check. So that was why I got into accounting. And then I started building my side practice. And when I made the decision to exit out of that business, I took clients that I worked, that my employer became my client. And so it was a great transition, and it was well calculated and well planned. So it has done very well for me. And one of the things I found out when I was out consulting, that small businesses rarely ever keep records. You keep it up here in your head. And then when it's time to go to the tax man, you bring him this great big box of receipts. He looks at you with a grimace, and then he puts yours on the back table while he works for the people that come in with the profit and loss statements. And then he gets to yours just in the middle of crunch time. So that's what I learned. And I have done books and accounting for pretty much every industry, from mom and pop businesses to Fortune 500 businesses, and including businesses trading on the stock market, so on the New York Stock Exchange. So I have seen it all. And as a bookkeeper, I can really tell exactly what a person's spending habits are. I can see the direction of a company that is going, if it's moving forward or if it's stagnant. So bookkeeping is something, it doesn't matter what type of business, nonprofits, for-profits, mom and pop babysitting services. If you have money coming in that you need to track, that you need to pay taxes on, then you need to have a bookkeeping system or an accounting system in place. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The only people that probably don't need to do that, if this is your side gig and you have a business that's your side gig and it just makes you enough money to go to the movies or dinner, then you don't need to track that, if that's the deal. But if you're in business, then you should actually have records. So I'm going to ask this question: how many of you have some sort of accounting system, even if it's on an Excel document? Okay. And has someone been doing that for you, or have you been doing that? You can take yourself off you can unmute yourselves.
Yeah, someone's been doing it for me for the last 30-something years.
Okay, all righty. And Kim?
I've been using QuickBooks for our family moving company.
Okay, cool, cool. Carmen?
Been doing it myself.
Okay, and Will?
Someone was doing it for me.
Okay. Miss Bonnie, here, I know the situation there. And a day, I've actually taught you in another class, so I don't know what's happening not today, but I assume you're still doing what we talked about when you came in to my other class. So today, so let me ask this, Shay. The person that's been doing it, do they keep you? Why are you here today? What's your purpose and what is your goal? What are your guys' goals to get out of this?
You know, actually, my cousin's in counselor, so she does it for me. But
Okay.
she's actually about when the pandemic is over, she's moving back to London. So I kind of need to get something else in place, and it's kind of hard. She's been doing it like for 31 years, but it's like, oh my God, now you're leaving me. But I get it.
Okay.
She's getting married. So she could, but I still need to be able to. She said, I'm gonna show you what to do. No, I need a few classes, okay?
Okay, that's a reasonable reason to be here. And Kim, you have to unmute.
Okay. I've been using QuickBooks for like 25 years, or Quicken, QuickBooks, some form of that. And I'm always looking for something that's a little easier.
Okay.
And so I've started a company as of this year for myself, separate from the family business. And so I wanted to see what the options were.
Okay, sounds good. Will, what are you using? Are you using an accounting software or a Excel sheet or?
Usually my accountant does it for me.
Okay. Okay. All righty. And Miss Jennifer, are you taking care of your financials or somebody else doing it for you?
Neither at this point, which is terrible. I have stuff in a box with a plan to get someone to help me that hasn't materialized yet.
Okay, all righty. You're the reason I got in business, because the tax preparers start referring clients like yourself to me. Okay, so and well, I think we have a nice little number here. So, and Stephen, what's your goal for being here?
To automate my process of bookkeeping and record keeping.
Okay, all righty. Uh-oh. Can you guys see the screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. So so what I usually do is, before I jump into actually the software itself, I usually I find it very beneficial to really discuss to help everyone acquire a basic understanding of bookkeeping. It's a language, it's a mindset, it's a thought process, it requires some investigative thinking, it's some puzzle completion, some word problems. It has a lot of elements to it, but once you understand the basics of accounting and bookkeeping, then it really helps you use the software. So understanding that the software is just a tool, just like Word, just like Excel, just like any programs that you actually use. And if you're using a software, QuickBooks, and really the fundamental basics of all of the programs that we're going to talk about, and including the one that I'm going to train you on, all do the exact same thing. Some things a little different, some better for smaller businesses and micro businesses, and some better for larger businesses. But basically, a lot of the struggle comes not from the software; it comes from not understanding the lingo and the concepts behind basic bookkeeping. So, for any bookkeeper or for anyone doing their books, it's alrighty. What's happening here? Okay, let me stop the share just for a second because something is happening with my. All righty, so why won't you? Okay, hold on one second, people. Okay, so let's start this share. Coming from here. Now, what is happening with it? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
But it won't let me move it. Why not? All right, hold on one second. All right. Let me shut this one down and oh, love it. Just love technology. Okay. So now let me come back in. All right. All righty. There we go. Okay. Okay. Let me put us in.
Crystal,
Yes.
while you're doing that, should we upload the Wave app to kind of follow you or just sit back?
Not yet, because
So-
we're not going to, excuse me, we're not going to use the Wave app just at this moment.
Okay.
We're gonna, excuse me, do go through the basics here first. Okay, so the objective of this program is to get you a basic of understanding of accounting, and you'll learn the reasons why a small business should use accounting software and systems, and also what is the best software for your business, because each one of them does have a very specific purpose. And so knowing that going in will save you some time and energy on starting it in one program and then realizing that this might be too robust or cumbersome for your type of business, or it's not large enough to handle the capacity of what you're doing. So that's what we're going to do here, is learn more about the background and why you should use and why you should have a system. So excuse me. Generally, as I said earlier, during tax season, that's usually the only time anyone even thinks about their books, is tax season, and also when they're applying for a grant or they're applying for a loan. That's the only time anyone ever thinks about because in your head, you know how much money's coming in. You kind of have an idea what's going out, at least for the big items, your rent, your mortgage, whatever it is that you're using for your business. If you have employees, you know what's going out, but there's some little things in between that may happen once a year that you don't track. And so the only time it really comes to mind is when you're sitting in front of your CPA or your tax preparer, and they're asking you what your deductible items are. So, and it's really, really important today because when Trump changed the tax laws, there are certain things that if you're operating as a sole proprietor, that you would put on your Schedule C, but there are a lot of deductions that are no longer deductible. And then there's some new deduction items that are deductible. And if you don't know what they are, usually your taxpayer, he only knows what you give him. So if you give him a box of receipts, he's just going to do basic tax preparing. If you've been with him for a while, he might ask you some questions, but generally it's straightforward. I had a client, and because he didn't understand the difference between his net and his gross, that he over evaluated his income by about $47,000. And so when he went to his tax person, and that's how he came to me. He was a referral from my bank manager that I do my banking with, because he had overvalued it. Now he had a $20,000 tax bill, and that could have been avoided by him just understanding the basics of bookkeeping and accounting. And it's something that happens. If this is not your space, this is not what if you're a creative, or if you're in whatever industry you're in, this is a whole industry by itself. And the financial part and financial literacy, business financial literacy, is something that we all of us kind of have a problem with, because we don't understand all the real details behind it. So that's one of the primary reasons, is making sure that you're deducting everything that you can deduct, and paying as little taxes as possible, by making sure that everything is tracked. That's from a tax standpoint. The other standpoint is, if you go to apply for a loan or a grant, you have the necessary paperwork. How many of you actually applied for the PPP? Okay. How many, and Stephen, so did you do the process, or did someone else do the process, Kim? Okay. All righty. So you had to have financials. That was the first thing off the bat. They were asking for financials. A lot of people did not apply for the PPP. Shay, you have employees? You have to unmute.
Yeah, it's only been me and Les the whole time.
Okay. But you could have applied for the EIDL.
That's what I'm hearing now, but I just didn't want to have a loan.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
So what I did, I've been using that earthquake money.
Okay.
Earthquake come, I'm in trouble.
All righty. Okay. So, and then the other thing is, you want your financials to be up to date. You want to be able to look, you should be able to look at the financial soundness of your business every single month. You should see at the end of the month, how much did I make? What were my expenses? What were my costs to do business? And then this is my net, right? And that helps you project out growth in your business. So you should be able to run a report at any point in time in order to see how your business is doing, and every month, every quarter, every 6 months, and not just wait to the end of the year. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everybody? So also, reconciling your bank statements is really, really, how many of you guys do that? Do you remember back in the day when you got bank statements, real live bank statements, and on the back side of the last page of the bank statement, they had how you could do your reconciliation? How many ever did that?
No.
So the purpose of that is to make sure that all your money's gone into your account. We can't make an assumption that, there's human error. And also make sure that the bank hasn't snuck some stuff in there that doesn't belong to you. And trust me, certain banks, Bank of America is notorious for miscalculations and pulling money out of your bank, and then then the next month it may come back, but if you're not tracking it, you don't have a clue that it doesn't come back. I've been doing this for a long time, and I tell you, there's been deposits that's been gone awry, and there's been debits and expenses that have been extracted from your bank account that you had no idea that you had. And then the other part of reconciliation. So in this new world that we live in, we have a lot of electronic transactions that go through our bank, right? Everything is online, then they're really encouraging you to pay for it in the future, and you might get a little deal for that. Your insurance might be everything. Some of us have a lot of electronic transfers or transactions that come out of our bank account. And if you don't keep track of that, that can add up to thousands and thousands of dollars because you've forgotten that it's happening, right? Your web hosting. Maybe you don't even have that website anymore. Maybe you've changed over, but you don't know that you're still paying for hosting that you're not using, or some other software online product that you rarely use is coming out of your bank account. So these are the ways for you to track unnecessary money going out of your bank account. Okay, and then just being able to nowadays most software connects to your bank. And so now all your transactions that's going into your bank, coming in and out of your bank account, can be connected to your accounting software system. And now you're operating in real time. So you really can reconcile every single day and be able to keep track of things. So it's efficiency. It really helps you run your business a lot more efficient than waiting for the bank statement at the end of the month and trying to remember what you did and why you did it that way. And if somebody else is doing it, then you really want to have accessibility and understand, because a lot of times you'll hire someone to do your books and they're doing it and they may not understand the transaction that took place. And then they got to wait until the end of the month when they come in to reconcile your books, and then they're asking you questions and you're like, I don't know. Or if it's been more than a month or 2 or 3 months down the line, then it's really difficult. And if it's that end of the year stuff that generally happens, which is kind of a nightmare, then you really got to remember. So this is a great way for you to do that. And then you get formalized financial statements. So instead of having the Excel spreadsheet, you could actually send over your profit and loss computerized accounting statements to anyone that needs it, and it looks professional. Just by the fact that it's coming out of a software program makes most bankers and lenders and financial representatives feel comfortable that you are in control of your finances. Just the financial statement alone. And tax preparers absolutely love you, because if you can send them over a general ledger and a trial balance, and we'll talk about all that, they're like, oh my God, this is going to make my job easy. I know exactly where things are supposed to be. And then I also can see if there's any errors. So that's some of the purposes. And the final reason is that the history, it gives you a historical data of your business, and you can track, who your vendors are. If you've used certain repair people, if you use certain services, you can always go back into your accounting system and find out who that is, and you can find out how much you've paid them. So if you're contracting them to do something different or something new, then you have some sort of census for that. And your customer history and aging. You can keep track of money coming in. You can keep track of people that owe you money. You can invoice them. Sometimes we forget about it because if we're solopreneurs, then we're wearing a lot of hats. So to be able to go back and find out if you invoice somebody and they haven't paid you, now you see it every time you open up your software. It's like, oh, wait, I need to call those people, right? So it gives you that. And here's the other magical piece about aging or accounts receivable. When you are invoicing clients and you provide a lender with an accounts receivable statement of report, that's as good as money in the bank, because they see you have money coming in. So if you've invoiced someone, $15,000, $20,000, but you haven't gotten it yet, but you have a contract in place, you have an agreement in place. So we know at some point, doing whatever terms you guys set up, that money is going to come in. So a lender says, oh, okay. So they kind of already add that in and make sure that that's part of the income that you're projecting to come in. And so that really makes your financial picture and your lending worthiness that more attractive. So that's good. And then the other part is your vendor history and aging. How this is money you're spending out, and that helps you also manage your money. So right now during COVID, some of us are doing business in a lean space, right? Because we're not making the money that we were making in 2019 or that we projected to make in 2020. So you really got to monitor how the money's going out, how the money's coming in, because you have to make some really calculated decisions. What's the most important and the priority to be paid? And even not in COVID, that's a good time. And I think the best thing about your financial statements is that you can look over a year and see how your money comes in. What's your peak seasons and what's your low seasons? So as it stands right now, do you guys know what your peak seasons are in your business? When you sell the most and you have the most revenue coming in?
Yes.
That was Will. Okay. Shay?
Yeah, the summer.
The summer is better for you?
Christmas and December, from October to December, people just don't want to get nothing repaired.
Okay. All righty. And Kim?
The holidays, actually.
Holidays for you because of gifts.
Yeah, because that's when family usually comes in and sees their parents living a certain way.
Okay.
And then they start to try to fix things.
Ah, okay. Deborah?
Actually, I would say from the fall to winter is sort of slow because of the holidays.
Okay. Carmen?
Yes.
Carmen, are you there? Carmen's in the real estate business. Aday. So one of the things that can happen is that when you look at a full year of what your revenue is, you can make plans around that, right? And that can actually help you look at some other ways to shore up income. I am really big on, even though we're in a specific business, we really should have multiple streams of income. Because when you guys are having those slow periods, then you can actually have other revenue being generated from maybe some other business aspect or idea or concept or products that you could also be selling.
That's good. Would you also say when you try to diversify your business, that's adding extra streams too? Like say for instance, for me, I used to deal only with like movie studios and record labels. And then when the record industries, they started to go down, I realized I'm gonna have to pivot. And then I started to target and get new business with television networks because I had never worked with them, even though I worked with movie studios. So I got with them and then I realized, I said, oh my goodness, they pay way more money than the other ones did on top of that. And then I pivoted again. I said, I need to really expand this. So then I started to reach out and to prospect global brands like AT&T and other industries. So that's what I did. And it really worked for me.
Right. So that's, like I said, it's multiple streams don't have to come. It's just not being all your eggs in one basket, being more proactive on other ways that can generate revenue. So like for Kim and Shay, they actually could become minority certified business owners and get contracts with hospitals and nursing facilities, especially the corporate ones, and now have generated revenue coming in on a contractual basis. Now you can project out for the future. You could get a contract for 2-3 years, providing both the services that you guys do and be able to have money and not just depend on consumer-based revenue. So looking at diversing but your financial records tell you that, right? So you can see where your peaks and your valleys are. And it's like, okay, what do I need to do to shore up revenue coming in those months during the holiday season, right? But if you had a contract that was there, and you can be able to project out your finances, now you have better control and you have stability. You don't have these ups and downs. You can ride through that slow period because you have other revenue that's coming in. And then you can hire some people if you need to have some employees during that time. Right? So, Ade, are you there, sweetheart, my friend? So Ade is he has a bike business. He sells bicycles and he repairs bicycles in Lamert Park. So that's a ebb and a low type of business, right? If it's raining, he has no business, so he has to have other ways to create revenue if they're renting bikes or they're buying bikes. Right now, during COVID, the biking industry just went off the chain. In fact, if you were trying to buy a bike for somebody in your family, that's probably literally impossible right now because they are all on back order. But the other is having audit-proof books. So that's really important. Yes. Hi, Ade. How are you?
I'm talking, but I didn't think it.
So I was asking, do you know what the peak of your business is? When you make the most money?
The spring, summer, and then like close to Christmas for a couple of weeks. And then it goes downhill until spring.
Okay.
Yeah. So right
now, where are you? Peak?
No, we're in a valley that I don't know when we'll be able to get out of because there's actually no inventory right now. So I can't even get any bikes. So I haven't been able to sell any bikes for like 2 months.
So so this is a prime example of understanding, this COVID thing has really changed our lives drastically, and we've had to be real creative on how we create revenue for our business, especially if we have businesses that are very specific to a certain niche.
Right.
So,
hey, Crystal, I'm curious for a day with the spike in bike sales everywhere else. Why is it because of the community that we live in, or Black people not riding bikes?
No, Black people are on bikes, and Black people have been on bikes. The issue is right now is I think it's a two-prong. It's Trump's issues with China, and also the COVID stopping manufacturing and shipping and manufacturing. So people that had to manufacture had to figure out another way, another avenue to actually get products made.
Okay. Just was curious.
Yeah, COVID has changed a lot of our lives. So you can have the biggest, I think, advantage to managing your financials and understanding your financials is that you have audit-proof books. If you can track and you have reports for every dime that you've spent that was an expenditure or an expense that could be deductible, all you have to do is run your reports. And I will tell you, when you come to the IRS with financial reports and not receipts, they look at you entirely different. I worked for a company that I was called in as a troubleshooter. It was a nonprofit organization and a faith-based organization, and their payroll taxes had not been paid in probably over 6 years. And which is the only reason why they were still in business, because they were faith-based and the agents were uncomfortable coming in and shutting them down. But when we came in with full reports, we could tell them exactly when when the payments weren't made, why the payments weren't made, and what our proposed plan was going to be. They were able to sit down with us. It took about 3 years for us to get it fixed. And I'm talking in the tunes of millions that was old. and with
Ooh.
including tax and penalties, interest and penalties. And at the end of the 3 years, they rolled back all the penalties and interest, and they just had us pay for the actual amount of money that was withheld from the employees' checks that did not get paid into the system. And so I was able to save them at least about $400,000 to the IRS. But that was because once went in, put together all of the financials, changed over had some changes. We had to change some board members, we had to change some staff members, and we had to make sure that they understood in that 3-year process that that the hands had been slapped and that they were going to do it correctly. But if we had not had those records, they would have been in some deep trouble, and they would have been paying over $1 million in taxes to the IRS, and with penalties and interest. So important. So accounting software helps you track your finance, transfers the money you receive, the money you're owed, that you owe and that someone owes you. We always want to look for, especially if we're doing our tax, our accounting ourselves. You want to look for an easy to use accounting program that is designed for small businesses, entrepreneurs, freelancers, contractors, nonprofits, because we all do business a little bit different. And so there's many choices out there. And now most of the choices are cloud-based, so you can use them wherever you go. You don't have to be trapped to a desktop. And trust me, I am actually a pro advisor for QuickBooks, and I've been using QuickBooks for the last 30 years, since the very first product that they made, the first version of it. And I know how to use it. It is like a violin for me. And I've always used desktop. And I was very resistant for the online, because when they first developed it, it didn't have all the components that the desktop had. But now I have choice. I know when to refer, and when clients should be on QuickBooks Online, and when clients should be on the desktop, and when clients should be using the enterprise system. So each product is different. And so QuickBooks has been the main player pretty much in this entity. I don't know, I think Kim mentioned it in the early days. It was my Quicken. And Quicken was more for the home-based business. It wasn't for business at all. It was for your home finances. It was to track your home finances. When it came out, people like, oh, this is really great, because now I can. So they tried to conform it to business, but it wasn't created for business. But QuickBooks is very intuitive, and they actually created a product for small businesses, and that's the QuickBooks desktop version. And then they saw that the industry was going to cloud-based, and that accountants could manage their clients much better if they were all online, and then they had access, and their clients had access, and any bookkeepers had access. So it made it very user-friendly. So everybody else jumped on the bandwagon and said, hey, we're not going to let QuickBooks stay in that space by itself. But of course, if you're coming into any kind of business, you want to have something that you have your own niche in it. And so the other products also have a niche for why they're in business, but basically the fundamental product is the same. You want to look for accounting systems that save you time and that have automatic bank feeds and online invoicing and automatic payment reminders. And now, because we are really not receiving checks as we did before in the mail, because sometimes getting to the bank is a little bit more strenuous than it used to be, because they have reduced hours. Now you want to make sure your bank you have accessible to receiving payments online. People can pay you directly without using some of the other auxiliary, the Cash Apps, the Zelles. Within a lot of these programs, you can invoice and you can get paid directly through the invoice that you send. Your invoice is online. You can also print them out and have hard copies, but it's a lot easier to track your revenue this way. So QuickBooks Online, as I said before, Intuit has been around since 1988. It is the trailblazer and the pioneer in this space. And in their space, they like to be the end all be all. So they've expanded their business just tremendously over the 30 years that I've been with them. And they're very into it. And one of the reasons I really like their product as an accountant is because when I have a problem and I reach out to them, and as a pro advisor, the next version, the next update is going to include the fixes. If they get a call for the same problem that maybe 3 calls, then the next update for that version of that software is going to be to include the change or the fixing of that. If we call in and say, hey, this just makes no sense to us, then they hear us. And so that was one of the reasons that I've always been a supporter and fan and an ambassador for QuickBooks. But basically, it saves users 40 hours a month in accounting tasks. It's for any business, any type of business, any size business, from self-employment to small business with basic accounting needs to established businesses. So it will cover anything. The desktop is better for larger businesses that have inventory, that you want to track inventory. It has an amazing inventory system. And it works seamlessly with your point of sales. If you happen to be in retail, it integrates with Word, Excel. A lot of they actually pride themselves on the third party integration that they have. So they actually have big conferences where they introduce you to other services that augment your QuickBooks very well. So when you're a larger business tracking, doing a lot of transactions, it has a huge capacity for transactions. So that would be the desktop during tax season runs about $100 and something, but non-tax season, it runs about $200. You don't have to update, but every 4 or 5 years, when they start to eliminate the service contracts on that product, that's when you usually have to upgrade that service. And then along came QuickBooks Online, and they charge you $40 a month, and you get a 30-day free trial to find out if this is suitable for you. It's a great product if you've been using it, but it can be, it can be a little overwhelming if you're not real savvy in the accounting, bookkeeping. Some of it just doesn't seem to flow. But if you're in that business, it flows real well. So that's QuickBooks. The other one is FreshBooks. Also, for small business, is a little bit different. They charge $70, $50 to $25 a month. You can create some great invoices, and that's really what it was. It was a great invoicing system for small businesses. Sometimes, that's all you needed when you're first starting your business, first starting out. You just need something so that you're not handwriting or creating an invoice on Word. So FreshBooks saw a opportunity and a niche, so they jumped in it. You can get payment reminders. You can set up reoccurring invoices, but that's just one component. So, but if that's what you need, then that's a good program for it as well. And then Xero came along because of the cannabis industry. Xero is a product that was created by a team of developers out of Colorado, which was one of the first states that legalized marijuana. And so because marijuana is not a federally approved product as of yet, QuickBooks and the other software products doesn't really engage in that area. So Xero came along and said, hey, we can work in this area. So what they did was they jumped in that space because they're in Colorado. Their clients, a lot of their clients are in the cannabis industry, and so they made their they created a product that addressed those issues. And the other thing about Zero is it works extremely well with Mac users, because most of the QuickBooks and the other products were designed for PC computers. And so they stripped down the software to make it work for Apple. But in Zero's case, they actually designed it to work with Apple. So that's a product for that. And as well as it costs between $9 and $60 to pay a month, depending on whatever your business is and how established you are as a business. So the next is the one we're going to be learning on is Wave. Now, Wave was something that was brought to me by a client. They reached out to me. They wanted to learn. They wanted to be able to do their own bookkeeping. And I was going to teach them on QuickBooks, and she's like, no, I want to use Wave. So when I went in and I did my research and contacted the company, I realized this is an excellent program, especially because the entry in is free. It costs you absolutely nothing to use Wave. Only the cost comes in if you add on the payroll element, and if you actually add on the element to get paid online, and then you're paying a percentage of 2% of whatever the amount that you're billing. But again, that's how any of the apps work. PayPal works that way. So it just basically does what they do. But it's a powerful software. It works as hard as you do. It's simple to use. It manages your cash flow. It has some really unique features, as you guys will learn, that I even like. If I wasn't already established in QuickBooks and for my own books, I actually would be using this. It connects to your bank. It's user friendly. It's non-industry user friendly, because it describes things like the consumer would look at it, or the non financial or accounting or bookkeeping person would look at it. So it's great. It produces fantastic reports. Reconciliation is really simple and easy. In fact, if you've been managing and putting and operating with it as you are working in your business, at the end of the month, you don't even have to reconcile it. It reconciles it for you. So it's really a great system. So I started training on this a couple of months ago, at the beginning of COVID, and I was able to get some people their financials because they wanted to apply for the PPP, and within 4 weeks they were up and running. It's a really fast learn, and it's a simple learn. And so if you're patient with just going through the understanding the basis about what you need to, how bookkeeping works, then it really even makes it even simpler. So to sum it up, for the best products, I absolutely love QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online. I am definitely an avid supporter of theirs, but I'm always open to new avenues and to new software that is more beneficial for the people that I serve, for my business owners that I serve. So, but each one has their purpose. Each one of them works in a specific capacity, and it's really based on what your need is. So you want to make sure, some of the things that you want to make sure from an accounting standpoint is one of the things that you want to make sure with the accounting is that it tracks your money coming in, tracks your money going out. Both provides you accounts payable and accounts receivable reports, because those are very important in forecasting and managing your financials. It should connect to your bank. It should connect to your credit card and automatically download those transactions, so you are operating in real time. So if something comes in at 12 o'clock, which is when the bank does their reconciliation, then by the morning time, you go into your system, you open it up, you can see exactly what has been occurring in there, in your bank. That the service is service oriented. You may need project management tools. So do they have the ability to integrate with other products that can also help augment or automate your business? So Customer service is really big. You want to be able to get on the phone with somebody or chat with somebody if you have a question, and that they're knowledgeable and that they're there for you, because something may happen in the middle of the night and you can't call anybody else, but you can go chat and there's always somebody available for you, or you can call them in the morning and they're there. And the products that I support, they have excellent customer service. So any problem that you ever have had with, you will have, you can call them and they will get you. Even and with QuickBooks, you have a number of them that are, I think they're outtracked or outsourced. First line or tier is in the Philippines, but very knowledgeable. And then if they can't help you in the first line, the first tier, then they'll send you to the second tier, and then they'll send you to the third tier, but they will get the job done. That's what they do. And Wave has been like that as well. They're a Canadian-based company, and so they're in Pacific Standard Time, so it's really easy to get to them. You also, if you're selling products, you want to make sure that your software has the ability to track your inventory, the inventory management, and that it integrates with other programs. So if you're in retail and you have products, you want to make sure that product is going to be able to connect to your POS system, your point of service system, so that you don't have to then go in and post what your daily sales are. The system is, they're speaking to each other, and at the end of the day, they batch it, and then it all just integrates into your system. Does anyone have any questions? Miss Carmen, you have any questions? Yes, Deborah.
Yes, Crystal, I did have a question because this is all new to me. But you had mentioned the PPP. What does that stand for? What does that stand for exactly?
What is it? Payment Protection Program? Is that what it was, Stephen?
Payroll protection program. Yes.
Yeah. So the PPP is a SBA government, federal government stimulus program for businesses to help you get through this COVID part. So right now they don't have any money anymore, but in the early parts of COVID, they actually, if you had employees, and that included yourself, you could apply for a forgiveness loan, and that forgiveness loan with they were paying for payroll and your rent, your mortgages, anything that was essential to you being in business, but specifically to payroll and mortgage and what else was it? Utilities, right?
Your operating expenses.
Operating expenses, but not all of them. Just there's some key ones. And then now we're in the payment, we're in the forgiveness loan part. So now you have to go back and show how you use that money and making sure that that money was used as they wanted you to use it, that you met the criteria. So that's what the PPP was.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So you want to make sure that, and some programs like QuickBooks, and actually Wave, but more QuickBooks, has a customer relationship management system, and they even have an email system that's augmented with their service. So if you've been doing business, let's say you're in the construction business, Carmen, you're in the real estate business. Let's say you record all the clients that you gotten paid from through your agent, through your broker, but however you see the name, you make sure you're very specific about who you've done business with. Now in a year, 10 years, 5 years, you can always go back and check with your clients to see if there's some repeat business there. Kim, the same thing for you. Anybody that's in business, you make sure that you're using the system properly. You can use it as a customer management system, a CMS system, where you can track how they've paid you. If you're in the construction business and you did somebody's kitchen 5 years ago or 10 years ago, or things have changed, so maybe we need to come back and see if you need some updates or some upgrades. And if you're going to sell your house, do you need us to come in and do some fixing? So your accounting system is more than just putting some numbers in the system. The system is supposed to help you do business.
Crystal, why is it free?
Why is what free? Wave? Wave is free because the core business, the core corporation is a insurance company. And so I am sure, because I was in the financial industry, and Stephen can attest to that a number of your customers come to you and they have no clue how much money they have. And even when you're trying to sell them, they always say, I have no money. Well, they don't know if they have money or not if they're not tracking. So I believe they got into this business and they offer this service free so that when they were looking for financial records and so forth, voila, they had no excuses for not having it because you're not paying a monthly fee for a service in order to track it. Now, how they make their money? They make their money through if you add on the payroll a component to it, they make their money off of that, and they make their money off of if you select and you're receiving to get paid through your invoices through that system. That's how they get paid. I think it was a clever marketing, and Will is in marketing. I think it was an excellent way to increase business. What do you think, Will? Is he there?
Okay, well, Crystal, my question is the 2% seems higher than PayPal if they take out.
Right, but it could be, but also it saves you time, right? So if you get, right now during COVID, tracking your own money is, and somebody being in the office to create you a physical check is probably not very feasible. So what they're doing is they're either paying you through electronic payments, they're using wiring systems, they're not creating checks. So the 2% fee is a cost of doing business. You get to write that off next year. And I know we like to get all our pennies, and there are other ways you can do that. You can get all your pennies, but PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, if it's for business, they're charging you somewhere between 2.75% on every dollar, on every transaction that's happening. So it's pretty comparable to what the market industry is. But it's the cost of doing business. Okay, so we shouldn't let that kind of sideline us, especially in this new age where digital and the internet is really the way we're doing business. We have to look at it. This is a business. This is a little bit different than our personal lives. So we have to look at it. And again, the more deductions you have, the more money you save on the back end. For small business, the term online bookkeeping service is interchangeable with online accounting, but there is a difference. So the online accounting services for small business have features that allow you to do debit and credit as in transactions, and as well as accounting features that let you run reports and analyze your financial. Accounting software sometimes is used by accountants because if they're on your team, and why am I not moving? Oh, there we go. If they're on your team, they want to be able to have accessibility so that they know how to protect you, how to save you money. When somebody is looking for an investor, usually a CPA knows exactly which clients are that are in need or looking for something to invest in a project. They already know who of their clients could use the tax shelter. And so that's part of a person's team. So online account, yes, Deborah?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, good morning, Rhonda. Are you there? So some accounting systems like QuickBooks has a component that they have a payroll and tax preparation services. So those are used by your controllers, your CFOs, your accountants and CPAs and bookkeepers. So they have a robust program, and most of them are using QuickBooks. And it's interesting, when I first started using QuickBooks, in the early days in the 80s and the 90s, most accountants would not have even thought of using QuickBooks because they felt that it wasn't accounting enough for them, meaning that they needed to be able to lock down certain segments of transactions so no one could go in and change it. So they used a industry product called Peachtree. And somewhere in the mid 90s, Intuit did, and that's the parent company, Intuit, they did such a phenomenal job of marketing and developing their products that today probably about 98% of the CPOs, CFOs, and controllers in this country or in the world are using QuickBooks, because now it does everything. And when they switched it over to QBO, now you don't have to come into the accountant's office. He can just tap into your system. You didn't have to provide him with any reports because he could go get it himself. So when you're looking at those kind of software programs, what works best for you? Okay. And what works best for your team? So if your team includes your tax preparer and it includes your CPA, then you want to make sure that they have accessibility and they can help you at a given point in time. So those are some of the things that when you're looking at purchasing or moving and starting your books on a software program, you want to make sure it meets your needs. Okay, because once you're in there, you really don't want to hop from product to product, because it's definitely a transition to move all your transactions, because you're generally moving a whole year of transactions, or you're waiting to the next year so you can start anew. But you want the continuity, you want the historical data. And so once you get wherever you're going to land, you want to be able to kind of stay there for a while until you actually outgrow that product. But at that point in time, that means your business is doing extremely well for you to move to the next level of accounting products. Okay, any questions? Everybody good? So the best accounting software for key points is the one that works best for your company and your needs, and that it tracks, that is easy to use, that's affordable, and allows you to track income and expenses. The software should also include financial reports that can give you insight on the health of your business. So, and that team includes, and being able to include your team, your CPA, your tax preparer, if you have other partners in your company that you want them, everybody to be the transparency, to be there, to be able to have access to that. You can limit the access, but being able to have access so the transparency is there and the help and the assistance is there. So for those of you that eventually you're going to learn this product, but eventually you're going to turn it over to somebody else, and that's fine. But even if you turn it over to a bookkeeper or your CPA, you really truly need to understand what is going on and why they do what they do. And even in selecting them, I would highly recommend you working with somebody that understands your personality and you understand their personality, and that you guys kind of work in the same space. Far as are they Johnny on the spot? If that's who you are, if you're one of those extremely detailed people, then you want an extremely detailed bookkeeper. Because if not, it will drive you crazy that they don't explain anything to you and they have a lackadaisical way of going about how they do books. You want to make sure that you interview the people that are working within your financials, because that's really important. They're there to help you grow. I help my clients grow. I don't just do their books. I analyze their books, and then I give them suggestions on how they need to move forward. So that's what your team should be able to do for you. Even if you're doing your own books, you now want to send it over to your tax person or your book or your accountant and say, okay, what do I need to do? In 5 years, I want to buy the building that my business is in. In 5 years, I want to invest in another business. In 5 years, I need to buy a new machine in order to produce whatever. But you need them to help you plan and forecast for the future. And that's the other reason for having your software. Any questions before we go on into accounting terms, which is really important before we get to a software, because you got to understand why the language that we're using. Everybody good? All right. So accounting terms, accounting and bookkeeping has a language of its own, just like the insurance industry, just like the medical industry, just like the real estate industry, just like the marketing industry. We have a lingo that is specific to what we do for a living. And so understanding what that lingo is will be extremely beneficial when you're using a software program, because they're going to be using that lingo when they are asking you how to perform certain tasks. or when you're asking them to perform the software to perform certain tasks for you, it's going to be using the accounting lingo. So basic accounting terminology is, excuse me, accrual basis accounting and cash basis accounting. Does anyone know what that means? Take a stab at it.
Yes.
Okay,
Cash
Carmen.
basis means you record the expense as it's paid. Accrual means you incur the expense with income and expense when it occurs.
All righty, that is exactly correct. So if you have a business that you're invoicing your clients, you're creating accounts receivable, you are operating in an accrual basis accounting system. If you are selling retail and it's consumer to a business, and the transaction means that they're going to hand you cash for the product, and then you're going to exchange it at the same time. Now you're operating in a cash-based accounting system. So if I go into 7-Eleven, I buy a soda, I'm giving them the cash, they record the daily sales, that is a cash basis. Most of you here, if you're invoicing a day, you're probably cash basis. But if you are invoicing for your services and you're going to get paid either due upon receipt or on some terms, then you're operating in an accrual basis. And it definitely makes a difference in the reporting. And we will talk about that as we get to reporting as you're doing that. Capital is it's really capital equity. It is the amount of money that you're investing within your business, and also the money that you're taking out. That's part of the equity in the capital that is invested in your business. Cash flow is the simple terms of money coming in, money going out, and how you're tracking the cash flow. CPA, a certified public accountant. There's several CPA. There's two CPA, which has become a certified. He has been licensed with the state of California, wherever he's doing business. And then there's a PA, which is what I am, and I don't do taxes. I don't do. There's certain things that I don't do because I don't want to do them. And but I do the accounting and management of financial records for my clients. Cost of goods, COGS, we call them COGS. Those are the or cost of service, COSS, and those are monies that you are expending for the raw materials of doing business. Okay, so if you are a baker and you need ingredients to sell your products in order to make the finished product, then those are your cost of goods or cost of service if there's certain things that you have to have in order to produce your business. So one of my cost of service is paying for my monthly QuickBooks, because I need that product in order to service my clients. So think about your business and what those cost of goods are. And the next one is the chart of accounts. And the reason that that other one is important is because the chart of account is the basis for your accounting system. It lets you know what line items you're going to post your transactions to, and it's those line items that are produced on your profit and loss statements, any financial statements, the profit and loss, and as well as the balance sheet. So these are very important. Actually, over the years of doing other people's business books and coming in where other bookkeepers have been there before me, I have found that the cost of chart of accounts are extremely important to helping someone outside of you and outside of your organization to understand how you do business, because you map it and you create line items that's specific to how you do business. And it makes it so much easier for someone to out externally to look at your books and say, oh, okay, I get how you do business. So the crafting and creating the chart of accounts is actually vitally important.
Will you go over that crafting in this class?
I will show you. Yeah, you will have to. Because that's the first thing that we'll do once we learn how to use the software is how to create our chart of accounts.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me. Next are credits and debits. So this is how the system. So in these automated cloud-based accounting systems, unlike the days of a bookkeeper where they did the everything manually, everything is done behind the scenes. So QuickBooks actually is doing the debits and credits, but if you don't understand how the debits and credits are being, how certain line items so how certain transactions are being applied to the chart of accounts, then that's when you get confused, when it becomes very cumbersome to use. I think somebody might have been Jennifer, but she stepped up. She's not with us right now. But I will explain debits and credits. I guess in accounting, the most complicated or the most complex is understanding debits and credits. So I will. I have a technique that really helps you understand what goes where and why they go there. So we went to accrual basis. That's basically the method of how you record your transactions. And we talked about that. We talked about cash basis, cash flow. Cash flow is the most viable, it's the bloodline to your business. When the money dries up, the business dries up. So right now in March, when everybody went into COVID world, money just dried up. Opportunities that people had planned to have in the first quarter of the year, just everything dried up. And so people had to do some pivoting and some moving around in order to get money moving. If you were doing contracts with people and the businesses stopped operating then they weren't actually paying their invoices as timely as they were. In some cases, like a day, he can't even get his product. So that creates a stagnation of his cash flow because something external is stopping him from even getting his products to sell. Excuse me. And that's vitally important to how the money flows through to your operations and your financing activities and your investment. Like right now, you really can't go out and get a regular SBA loan because they're not quite sure at this point in time where your money coming from. Everybody's very uncertain right now. So the loans and the grants and everything that's out there is all geared for you to survive. Is really not geared for you to grow. Although some people are making it help them grow or having it's assisting them in their growth. But most people are in this specific time pivoting and trying to figure out their business model. And so banks aren't looking to come in and say, oh, I'll give you a line of credit. They're not doing line of credits right now. They're not doing bank loans for growth right now because they don't understand how you're flowing your cash. Right now, we're in survival mode, and that's how they see us, in survival mode. So the cash is very important. The capital, as I said before, is your investment in your company. Any money that you've put into the startup of your company is an investment, and when it is returned to you is probably, if you had an opportunity to sell your business, then that would be part of the company's valuation, and you would be reimbursed on the backside if you were going to sell your business and move on to something else. But in any money that you pull out of the company is also part of the capital draw. And so that's kind of like your paycheck if you're not taking a formalized paycheck and you're not formally on payroll. And that draw is used when you go to do your Schedule C as income. And that's the profit of your business. And that's what you're paying taxes on, depending on what your legal structure is. I did cost of goods, and so the chart of accounts. And then the other accounting terms are your expenses, and those expenses are your fixed, which are things like payroll, rent, utilities, a telephone. These are expenses that you need in order to do business, that once you get started with them, you can't stop and start it because they're a principal part of your business. Then the variable expenses are those expenses that change, that you can fluctuate, that you can, if you have to go lean, you can kind of extract out or reduce. Fixed expenses are fixed expenses. You can reduce your payroll by eliminating your staff. But if you eliminate your staff, then you eliminate you're also eliminating your production potential, right? Because you no longer can grow to, you're doing it all yourself. So it's a kind of a catch-22 in a sense. So you want to be able to adjust your variables before you adjust your fixed expenses. Next is, in accounting, we have a term called generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. And that is the principles that those of us in the financial accounting industry, those are the guidelines that tell us what we can do and what we can't do. And now they're moving over to the IAAP, which is called the International General Accepted Accounting Principles, because we're operating on a global world standard, and there has to be principles. So a primary example of that is Mr. Trump. He does counting very interestingly. There are no guidelines. He is not operating in any kind of gap or anything. He's created his own, and you can see where they got him. He became bankrupt 6 times. Also, if I have to say so myself, I don't know if the federal government at this point in time are operating in those spaces, because they're creating money that is not backed on anything. Yes, Bonnie, I will provide you guys with the terms.
Crystal, will we be covering, a lot of us are working at home in our home offices, and then the calculation is kind of complicated. Will we be covering the home office deduction?
Yeah, I'll talk about those. As we go through the system, I'll cover those. But yeah, so we're operating not in no kind of principles at all right now. But at some point, that's going to create a major problem, because that's, what I love about accounting, and even from a business owner, not necessarily a bookkeeper, is the numbers don't lie, guys. They are what they are. You can't make them up. You can't make there's no gray area. Adding and subtraction is exactly that. If I take something away from, if I take 2 from 5, it leaves me 3. It don't leave me 5. There's no creative accounting. It is what it is. And that's the best part about it. It tells a true story about how you're doing business. General ledger is the document that you would provide to your tax person. It is the full report of every transaction that has taken place in the period, the year that you're operating in. So like in 2019, if your accountant asked you for your general ledger, if he knew you had an accounting system, he's asking you to send him the transactions for everything that you've written, every check that you've written, every deposit that you've written. And it generally is in the same categories as the chart of accounts. Okay. Next is liabilities, and there are current liabilities, short-term liabilities, and long-term liabilities. So those go on the balance sheet, and they're very important when you're looking to borrow money, and also for you to see what your assets and the full net worth of your company is. And then net income is the reduction of the income, the gross income minus the expenses, and that lets you know what your net is. And owner equity is your investment, and your salary, your profit and loss statements. The P&Ls are what is the financial statement that tells you what is going on, money coming in, money going out. And the balance sheet is the assets of the company, and return on investment is ROIs, is how much money are you putting out and how much are you getting back, and what is the margin. And there's a formula that is used when you are applying for loans, and your debt ratio. Carmen can tell you about that. Carmen actually does financial literacy programs and how to get into houses. And so she's really knowledgeable in this space. And so the ratio on your debt ratio, and you find that out with financial statements. So that's kind of where we are with this. What I will do is, so what time is it? It's 11:30. So any questions? I'm going to kind of go over, just kind of introduce you guys to Wave, as soon as I can get rid of this.
Yeah, let's see Wave.
Okay. Was I sharing?
No.
Did you guys see that report?
No.
Oh my goodness. Huh. Okay, why did the share kick off? All right, hold on a second. Let me get to Wave. Now, you guys should have said something. You weren't being entertained by my beautiful slides.
No, we didn't see any slides.
Oh my. Okay. No wonder, Bonnie, you asked that question. The other question was, I can't see the slide. All righty, so I can just introduce you to now. Can you see that? Someone let me know. Okay. All righty.
I see it.
Oh, good. Thank you. Let's see before we go here. So this is a totally free program, and it's the app is called waveapps.com. And so this is kind of when we go inside, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a dashboard, and on that dashboard, it's going to kind of outline what your status is, your current status of your monies, how the cash is flowing, what the profit and loss is showing you. As you can see, a graph that's going up, graphs coming down, up. You're showing your peaks, your highs, your lows, as well as it's showing you any reminders for bills that need to be paid, what your bank accounts are, and then it gives you the navigation tool to get started. It's stress-free. It gives you graphs. It gives you beautiful reports, and it's actually a really nice program. So I am going to access it now. Another great thing about it is you can have as many companies as you would like under Wave. You don't have to have one company. You can have multiple companies, tracking multiple revenues coming from those multiple companies.
Crystal, since this is almost November, is it better to wait till January, or is it okay to start now?
Well, I guess the answer to that question is, have you been generating revenue during this year?
Yes.
Okay, so then, but it's been very sporadic this year, right? You probably did January, February, probably did well. March, April, May, it was dead. Then it picked up probably June, July, August until now, right?
Right.
But the beauty of it is that when you start this program, it's going to connect to your bank. So any transactions that are taking place, those transactions will be uploaded into the software. So you won't have to go back and manually put in anything. The bank will do it, but you will have to go in and make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. Because you're going to have to pay taxes on something for 2020. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, so you're not scrambling. You want to just go ahead and start it. And because it's not been, everybody's most productive year, it's not a bad time to do it. And right now we have the time to do it in some cases. Okay, so this is the kind of the framework of Wave when you come in. Now, when you guys come in, mine's is already set up. So when you come, or this particular one is already set up. So when you come in, you're going to be asked to connect your bank. You're going to be asked to create your chart of accounts, and we're going to talk about all of that. Yes, Rhonda, you can put your personal and business account in Wave. I would say keep your personal separate, and I cannot stress how important it is not to commingle personal with professional. Anybody know why that is? Kim, there is some integrations, and we'll talk about that.
Could you repeat Kim's question? We didn't hear her.
Kim's question was, does Wave work with tax accounting software? And so it does have integrations, and you'll see those down on the side here. So yes, it would. But if you're doing your own taxes, is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it does. It have an integration like QuickBooks. So what am I going? Oh, and then Rhonda's question was, can you put your personal and your business account on the same Wave? Yes, you can, but I would suggest you do them individual. And when you're paying yourself money, then you need to write a check to yourself as if you're a vendor, and then you make that happen. You do not want to commingle your personal with your business. Makes it very difficult for your taxes, and it also doesn't show a lot of professionalism in your business. Your business is a separate entity from your personal life. And I've had to unravel a lot of businesses and a lot of commingle, and sometimes it's easy. Just like, oh, I'll just take money out of this and I need to run to the store. I'll use the debit card to do that. But if discipline is the problem, then make sure that just don't transfer. Make sure there's no opportunity to transfer money from your personal account to your personal account. You have to write a check in order to get it, or withdraw and actually make a transaction or post in your accounting software. I am withdrawing X amount of dollars and it's going to me personally, because basically that's your taxes. That's for your personal taxes. All righty. So we got a few minutes. I'll just kind of go through this, and then you guys can, for homework for next week, you can go through you can sign on, you can set up your account. We're going to really do that next week, but you can kind of look around and get comfortable with some of the navigation, so that when we do go through and set up our own companies next week, what we're going to do in this class is not your personal company. I think what we're going to use a practice set, at least for the first, get going, so that when you get over to your own business, it'll be really a comfortable transition, and you're not trying to figure out, and you'll understand why things are going. So we're going to build the company from a practice set. Yes, Stephen, we're going to go through an example of how to set up and for the initial steps. Okay. So what I will do for you guys, I'm going to send you over a practice set. I'm going to send you over, because we got to talk a chart of accounts. That's the first line of what the steps that we have to do. And I'm going to send that over so you guys can take a look at what a chart of accounts looks like, and some instructions on walking through it, but we're actually going to walk through it together. Okay. So right now, this is what we call the dashboard on the right-hand side. And it gives you very clear instructions on how it works, but basically it lets you know if there's income coming in. It lets you know if you have any bills due. It lets you know what your profit and loss, and this is my sample business here, so that I can train on it. This is my training one, actually. It lets you connect to your bank account. And then if you look down here, these are the easy, accessible instructions to get started. So things to do when you first start is to add customers, add vendors, customize your invoice. You can invite in a guest collaborator, which would be your bookkeeper or your accountant. Then over here in payable and owing is telling you what is coming up due, and it gives you the days, the terms, the days that it may be overdue, and invoices that are payable to you. So this is your accounts receivable on this side, and then on the right-hand side is the bills that you owe. It tells you how much money is going to be going out in the next few days, week, month. Then down here, it shows you what your net income is going to be. And down here, it shows you the breakdown of how you've spent your money for this month. You can change this little highlighted area, and it will let you know if there is for the quarter, for the year, for the last 6 months. So you can set that up to see what you need to see when you need to see it. Over here under create new, it helps you with estimating, invoicing, recurring invoices, bills, customers, vendors. So it lets you click here. And so that's another area for you to navigate in. It's a short menu. And then if we go over here to the left-hand side in the gray box, it lets you set up all the companies that you're doing, that you've created. You can create as many businesses as you would like. And you don't get charged for any of those businesses. Okay. And then when you want to jump from business to business, you just click it and it will open it up. As you can see, you can create one for your personal. You can do your RBD. You can do your RBD. I'm sorry. You can do your businesses. If you have 2 or 3 businesses, if you have some subsidiaries, you create them here, and the process is the same. So we will next week create our business when we use our practice set, and then here is the launch pad. And basically it asks you, what do you want to achieve? So when you first come into the system, this is the first question it asks. So it's going to ask you, do you just want to create invoicing? You may not need, why, I don't know, but you may not need an accounting system. So it asks you on personal invoicing. Is that professional invoicing? Is that what you want to create? Or 2, you want better bookkeeping, and this automatically syncs transactions for deeper insights. And then, are you looking to pay your employees? Now, remember, paying your employees is one of the price points for this particular service. Everything else is it doesn't cost you anything, but payroll does. So we were at the dashboard, then, and you always come back here to the dashboard. It pretty much is it's a home page. Okay, you look at it as your home page. It gives you the overview and the insight, an overview insight of what's going on in your business right at this moment. You can generate a P&L report straight from the front page. You don't have to go into reports. And you can click the go. Anything that's in blue is clickable, and it will take you to the area that is pertinent to that particular transaction. Okay, then over here, we're back on our left-hand side. Everything under sales means anything to do with making money. So if you have to produce estimates, if you're producing invoices, if you have reoccurring invoices, if there's an invoice, you have a contract, and you're charging the same amount month after month after month, you can set up a reoccurring, and every time you go to reoccurring, you can just click it and send it. And just change the date, in any details or any notes that you might want to add to it, maybe the time frame that you're doing this particular work for them, then you can make that adjustment, and then you can send it. You don't have to recreate their invoice. QuickBooks does the same thing, Kim. Theirs is under memorized transactions. Checkout is something that is very unique, and we'll talk about that. That's very unique to Wave. QuickBooks doesn't do it, and actually, I thought it was a phenomenal little invention, add-on there. So we'll talk about that. Payments is, invoicing, vendoring, customer service statements. This is new. They're also upgrading this product. You have access to your customers to set them up, to add their information, to create this customer management system. Products and services, this is where you add in how you get paid. What are your products and services, and how they tie into the profit and loss statement. So we'll talk about that. That's all part of the chart of accounts. Purchases are exactly what they are, is how much money you are sending out and how you're sending it. So these are the bills, the receipts. So if you're doing something, you go out, you want to go to Staples and you buy something right off the cuff, and paper or whatever, office supplies, and you're using your debit card, you can just you can add it in right then and there as a transaction. It's not an invoice, it's not an accounts payable, it's just a transaction.
That's a question. How does it know what the category is? Like it says it'll input your transactions from your credit card automatically. But if you go to Staples and they put Staples, but how would you then you have to go input and say what it was?
Well, actually, excuse me. What happens is once we start putting in our transaction, the software is very intuitive. And so it will memorize those transactions, especially when you connect your bank to the software, then there's a transactional code that the bank uses. And so every time that code comes through the system, it says, let me look back at my historical data. Oh, she's been to Staples before. I think this is an office product.
Oh, okay.
And it will post it there. Now you still, because it's automation, you still as the human operator still have to check and make sure that it's going to the right place. But it initially will say, after they see historically that there's been 2 or 3 transactions in this area, then this must be where this goes.
Okay.
Okay, so it makes it really simple and easy for you. Accounting. Yes.
Crystal, I have a question for you. With Desire Health Magazine, we do have consultants, okay? For example, we have our art director who does all of our graphics, and then we have someone that's on the IT side for cybersecurity and things of that nature. So would that go under, I just saw it, would that go under purchases, or where would we put that exactly?
That would go under purchases, and if you're contracting them, you'll be creating a line item in your chart of accounts called contract labor or professional labor.
Professional labor. Okay, then. So put that under professional labor. Okay, then, because that's good to know, because we have people that are doing various things, like I said, the art director for graphics, and then we have some ghost writers and things of that nature. So
I am a component of the chart of account being very, very specific to how you do business. Okay. And I'm also a component that if the IRS comes in, I don't want them asking me a whole lot of questions. So I leave a lot of notes so that all they can do is read. I leave no room for explanation. I don't want you asking me a whole bunch of questions. I've been through several audits with nonprofits, and it's a bear. And I learned from there. The more detailed I am in my notes, the less questions you have to ask me.
Okay, and also, and I don't know if this is something, now being that with these individuals that we, consultants, contractors, that we contract with, now a 1099 form, we don't have to do that for them because, or do we?
Once you put your contractors in the system as a W-9, you'll get your W-9 from them, and you put them in the system as an independent contractor. Then at the end of the year, it will produce a report for you.
Okay.
And produce the 1099s. All you have to do is run it, order the forms, and then you just run the report. And then it will print out the 1099s for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
You just have to put in, when you put in all their pertinent data, their mailing and address and so forth, then you indicate that they have either their social security number or they're using an EIN number. And then it will, at the end of the year, you'll be producing a report that's your 1099s. And then it'll go through the process, and we'll kind of go over that.
Okay.
But that's, it will produce it for you, so you don't have to have you can be ready next year for that.
Okay.
So accounting is whatever transactions, the reconciliation you will find under here. This is anything to do with how the software actually works itself. So that's all the transactions that are going in. You can have access right into the transaction of platform, and then reconciliation is when you're ready, when all your transactions are in and they're in the proper places, then you'll go back in and reconcile the bank account, and then a chart of account, and then Wave says, you know what, you might be over your head in this stuff, but you understand it, but maybe you want to hire. So they actually have a network of bookkeepers that you can reach out to. QuickBooks just recently did that as well. I think you've probably seen a couple of commercials. If you're looking for a bookkeeper, they vetted them and so forth to do that. Next is banking. So anything to do with banking, connecting the accounts, payout, not insurance, because this is what the parent company does. Again, how they could get paid. payroll. These are all paid opportunities. And most payroll companies now have COVID, and this is meaning, do you need reports for your PPP reporting for the loan forgiveness? So they have the form there, and they can help you fill that information out for those that actually got their PPP money in the very beginning. And then finally, and not what's happening here. Okay. And then finally, reports would be all of the reports, the big picture reports. So the reports that you do on a regular basis, profit and loss statements, balance sheets and cash flow. Those are reports that you pull daily, monthly, weekly. They're there. Then down here, for those that have your payroll taxes, wage report, and then your sales tax if you're doing retail, and then these are reports on your customers, these are reports on your vendors, and then these are your deeper dive on your account balances. This is really more geared for the information that your tax preparer or your CPA is going to be looking for. Okay. It tells the true story of the business. And then Wave has some advisors. I'm actually working on becoming an advisor for them. And then integrations. They integrate with PayPal. They integrate. So that means that if you're doing transactions with PayPal, you can connect it to PayPal, and all of those transactions will come into your account, your accounting software as well. They're not operating as two separate entities. Google Sheets. These are partners. So each one of these are partnered up, and they do something specific to help you do better business. So you Shopify, Square Sales, Stripe if you're in a retail space, accounting, your appointment scheduling, CRMs, management, business management, and it probably goes on, and there's probably some others in there for the taxes, and they use Zapier to make that happen. And then here is your settings for the software, and we'll go in and do some customization of your invoices, and so everything that requires some setting adjustments is all listed here, and we'll go through those. And then finally, at the very bottom, if you want to get paid online, and again, that's one of the paid features of Wave. So that's pretty much the overview of the software. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the first hour. We're going to start with the chart of accounts. So I am going to send you guys over what chart of accounts look like and some literature on it, so you can kind of be read up on it already. And then I'll go over it in more detail and answer any questions that you may have. And then I'm going to send you a practice set, so it'll be ready. And that practice set is going to be setting up a company. And then we're going to take each one of the areas. We're going to work in sales probably next week. And we're going to create invoices. We're going to customize our invoices. We're going to first set up our chart of accounts, and we're going to work in sales. And that's probably what we will get accomplished next week. And then the following week, we'll go into accounts payable. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Yes, that's fine.
This is Debbie again. My question, it was on the last slide, and it said like PayPal. You know, when you can put in, if you're paying people through PayPal and et cetera. What if you have used Cash App and Zelle?
All of those, you can also integrate those as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what they use Zapier for, is to be able to connect those as well. And if they're coming in your bank account, they're already there. Okay. Are you moving the money from wherever those entities are over into, or are they going directly into your bank account?
Currently, they're going directly into my bank account, but I want to keep things separate.
Okay. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So you don't want them to, so you use the money specific, so like on PayPal, you use that as like your own little bank account over there that you're tracking, and if that's the case, how does that get into your financials when it's time to do your reporting?
Right, because currently this is why we're trying to, when you were saying commingling of accounts, I want everything separate. You know, because now, right now, I do keep a very good record of what is business related because I keep detailed notes, but I just want to make it to where there's two separate accounts altogether.
Okay.
The business
Oh,
and
yeah, and your personal.
right.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. But let me ask that. So then I guess the question is, are you using the PayPal in any of those payment options as personal as well? Or are you using those? Because you can have a business PayPal.
Okay, then see, that's what I would need is a business PayPal because right now I don't. I just have everything coming out of the personal, but still I have it. I know which ones are for business, so I need to separate those
Yeah,
two.
you can actually have a business PayPal.
Okay.
And it actually comes with its own debit card. In some cases, they were one of the ones that provided PPP loans as well.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually. So being that you were a customer of theirs, then they just reached out and said, "Hey, do you want to apply for the PPP loan?"
I
So
see.
it's advantageous for anyone if you're using PayPal to actually have the business PayPal. Keep your separate
Okay.
one, keep your personal one, but then
Right.
keep them separate so there's no commingling.
Okay.
Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions for anyone?
Yes, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yes.
I guess I'm concerned about letting a company access my business account and credit cards accounts. Is that a valid concern?
They have excellent cybersecurity protection. And I have never had, and I've been using QuickBooks for a long time, and I've been using Wave at this point, but I have never had a problem with any of my clients' accessibility online. The security system between the software and your bank is pristine. They actually make sure the bank itself, when you make that connection, the bank itself makes sure that from their side there's protection, and then from the software side they also, because their reputation's on the line, so they have the highest level of security of protecting your accounts from hacking on either side. I've never had a problem with any of my accounts. I've never had a problem with any of my clients' accounts. And pretty much all of them are on there. And that's a valid, I mean, we live in a crazy world and the internet is what the internet is. And then also, most of the systems now have a two-part validation system. I think on every account that I have a two-party. It has to. I have to give it permission, even if I'm using my own computer. So I have two laptops, and so if I'm using my other laptop and I want to access anything to do with my banking, it has a two-party code, and I have to put the code in, and it sends it to me, and we have to go through this whole rigmarole. But that's how that's how you're protected now. Did that answer your question, Ms. Carmen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any other questions? All righty, guys. Then I will see you next week. I will send everyone information so we'll be ready for next week's class. And if you have any questions that you didn't think of right then and there, you can just email me. My email address, I'll put it in the chat room. Is C. Mitchell 544@gmail.com. And my phone number is 323-447-7272. Text me first because my phone just is crazy right now. But I do respond to texts, and so if you have a question, just text me and say, hey, can I get a few minutes? And then I'll fit you right on in. And there's the phone number.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys excited?
Yes, learned a lot today.
Oh, good. All righty. So then Siobhan, we missed you in the early part, but I'll send over, since you guys didn't get the PowerPoint, I'll send that over to you. All righty. That'll be part of the handout. All righty. So I'll see you guys next week.
Hello, Javon.
Hi, sorry I was late. I had
I'll say,
an
okay.
appointment at 10.
All right.
All righty, everyone. Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you, Kim and Shay. Y'all get together. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you do the same.